My mom's voice cut through the room, loud, sharp, deliberate. Your sister became a doctor. When will you ever matter? Every head at the reunion turned toward me, plates paused midair, conversations dying instantly. My sister stood beside her, smiling like she'd been waiting for this moment. Laughter broke out around the table. Not nervous laughter, real laughter. My mom didn't stop. Lila saves lives. You? Still? What exactly do you do? My sister tilted her head, eyes locked on mine. Still a nobody? I didn't argue, didn't defend myself. I just smiled and glanced past them, through the glass doors behind us. Maybe you should all take a look at her hospital wall. The laughter stopped. My sister's smile dropped. And then someone behind me said, "Wait! What does he mean by that?" Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. For a second, nobody answered that question. Not my mom, not Lila, not even the cousins who had been laughing the loudest just moments ago, because something had shifted and everyone felt it. My mom forced a tight smile, waving her hand like she could brush it off. "Oh, please," she said, her voice thinner now. "Daniel always says strange things when he feels embarrassed." A few relatives chuckled again, but it didn't land the same way. Not after that look on Lila's face. She wasn't smiling anymore. She was watching me carefully. I'd seen that look before, not at family dinners, not during holidays, but once, a long time ago, when something didn't go the way she expected. When control slipped just for a second. That same flicker was back. "You're being weird," she said, her tone quieter now, almost controlled. "What hospital wall?" I didn't answer her. Instead, I picked up my glass, took a slow sip, and set it down like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just turned the entire room on its axis. Around us, the reunion hall buzzed awkwardly back to life, but people weren't really talking anymore. They were watching, waiting. Because this wasn't new. Not really. This dynamic. Lila being praised, me being questioned, my mom making sure everyone knew exactly where we stood in her version of the world, the successful daughter, the disappointing son. It had been like that for years. Every birthday, every holiday, every gathering, there was always a moment like this. A comparison, a reminder, a quiet or not so quiet cut. And I had always let it pass. Always. Until tonight. "Daniel," my mom said again, sharper this time, stepping closer. "Don't start something you can't explain." I met her eyes. Calm, steady. "I'm not starting anything," I said. Then I glanced past her, toward the glass doors again, toward the hospital building glowing across the street. "I'm just suggesting we take a look." A chair scraped loudly behind me. Someone stood up. Then another, and just like that, the room began to move. Lila didn't follow at first. She stayed where she was frozen, staring at me like she was trying to figure out what I knew or what I was about to show them. Then, finally, she spoke again, lower, tighter, almost a warning. "Daniel." I paused at the doorway, hand on the handle, and looked back at her. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" The moment she said it, her voice cracked just slightly, like she hated that I had made her ask it in front of everyone. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I pushed the glass door open. Cold air from the street slipped into the hall, brushing against the heat of the reunion behind me. Chairs scraped harder now. Footsteps followed. My mom was the first to move, fast and tense, like she needed to regain control before this got out of hand. "Daniel, stop this nonsense," she snapped, hurrying after me. "You're embarrassing this family." Behind her, laughter didn't come back this time, only confusion. Lila followed more slowly, not because she was calm, because she wasn't. I could hear it in her steps, slightly uneven, controlled but forced. Outside, the hospital building stood across the street, bright and imposing under the evening lights. Glass, steel, movement inside. The kind of place people assume tells the truth just by existing. But tonight wasn't about what people assumed. It was about what they'd never bothered to look at. We crossed the street in silence. Half the reunion group followed, unsure why, but unable to stop themselves now. Curiosity had replaced laughter. That's what happens when certainty starts breaking. My mom reached the entrance first, grabbing my arm. "Whatever you think you're doing," she whispered harshly, "fix it. Right now." I gently pulled my arm free. "I didn't bring you here," I said. "You followed." That made her pause. Inside the lobby, the air changed, clean, clinical, controlled. A few staff members looked up as we entered, and then something unexpected happened. One of them stopped mid-step, looked directly at me, and nodded. "Mr. Nkomo," the nurse said clearly, as if I belonged there. Behind me, I heard Lila's breath catch. My mom froze, because that wasn't supposed to happen. Lila stepped forward quickly now, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I think there's a misunderstanding," she said. "He doesn't work here. He's just..." But the nurse didn't look at her. She was still looking at me. "Sir," she said again, softer this time. "The display is ready, as requested." Silence dropped so hard, it felt physical. My mom's grip on her purse tightened. And Lila, for the first time all night, didn't speak at all. She just stared at me and whispered, "Display? For what?" I didn't answer her immediately, because the answer wasn't something you say in a room like this. It was something you show. The nurse turned and gestured toward the main corridor. "This way, sir." Her voice was polite, professional, but there was something else under it. Respect. The kind that doesn't come from family stories or assumptions. The kind earned somewhere people don't usually talk about. My mom followed first again, like she still believed she could drag this back into her control. Lila came right behind her, but slower now. I noticed it. For the first time, she wasn't leading anything. The corridor opened into a wide administrative hall lined with glass panels and digital boards. Staff moved aside as we walked through, some nodding at me, others simply watching. And with every step, the noise from the reunion group behind us faded into something smaller, less certain, more careful. Then we reached it. A massive illuminated wall at the end of the hall. Names, titles, departments, achievements. Hospital Innovators Board. My mom let out a small breath of relief, like she'd finally found something she could understand. "Oh," she said quickly. "So this is it? Lila's department recognition?" She straightened immediately, like the world had corrected itself. Lila exhaled too barely, a forced calm returning to her face. "Yes," she said fast. "Exactly. That's what this is." But her eyes were already scanning it too quickly, too nervously. I stepped forward, just one step, and that was enough for the room to quiet again. Because something about my movement made people stop reading the wall-like decoration and start reading it like evidence. My finger lifted slightly, not pointing randomly, not guessing. Directly at the top section, Lead System Architecture Team. A pause. Then I spoke quietly. "You've all been looking at the wrong names." My mom frowned. "What are you talking about?" Lila stepped in sharply now, her voice tightening. "Daniel, stop. This is embarrassing." But I didn't stop. I looked at her, then at the wall, and said, "The question isn't who became a doctor. It's who built what she's standing on." A beat of silence. Then a voice from behind us, one of the hospital staff, spoke carefully. "Ma'am, you should probably look at the full authorship record." Lila turned slightly, slowly, and that's when I saw it. The exact moment her confidence broke, because her eyes had finally found my name. Not hidden, not small, but positioned above hers on the official record. And in that instant, she stopped breathing. Lila didn't move. Not at first. Her eyes stayed locked on the wall, like they were refusing to process what they were seeing. Like if she blinked, it might rearrange itself back into the version she expected, but it didn't. The names stayed exactly where they were, and mine stayed above hers. A slow sound escaped my mom, something between a breath and a collapse. She reached out instinctively, grabbing the edge of a nearby chair like her legs had forgotten how to support her. "No," she whispered. "That's not no. That's not possible." Her eyes flicked between the wall and me, like she was trying to separate reality from a mistake. Behind us, the reunion group had fully gone silent now. No whispers, no laughter, just the sound of people realizing they had walked into something they didn't understand. Lila finally spoke, but it didn't come out like her voice used to. It was thinner, unstable. This is an error," she said quickly, turning toward the staff member. "This isn't updated. I led that project. I presented it at the medical board. Everyone knows." The hospital administrator stepped forward, calm, professional, but firm enough that it cut through her panic. "Dr. Nakomo," he said gently, "the authorship records are not based on presentation." A pause. "Only that." Then he continued. "They're based on design documentation, system architecture logs, and patent filings." My mom's head snapped toward me at that word. Patent. That was the first time she looked at me like she didn't recognize me at all. Lila shook her head harder now, backing up a step. No, he wasn't even in the department at that level. He was support staff. I didn't interrupt her. I just reached into my jacket and placed a folded document on the glass counter beneath the wall. The administrator glanced at it once, then nodded slowly. "Confirmed," he said. And that's when the room changed again. Because now it wasn't confusion anymore. It was realization. My mom's voice came out broken. "Daniel," she said quietly, like saying my name differently might fix everything. "What is this?" I looked at her, at Lila, at everyone who had spent years deciding my worth without ever asking a single real question. And I said, "I built the system that keeps this hospital from collapsing every day." A pause. Then I added, "And you all laughed at me for it." Lila's hands started shaking now. She tried to hide it, but failed. Because for the first time, there was nowhere left for her version of the story to stand. Then the administrator cleared his throat and said the words that finally made the room tilt completely. "There's also the matter of misattributed credit during publication." My mom dropped the chair. The chair hit the floor with a sharp crack. No one reacted to the sound, not really, because something bigger had already taken over the room. My mom stood there frozen, staring at the administrator like she was waiting for him to correct himself, to take it back, to say it was some kind of misunderstanding that would restore everything to how she believed it was supposed to be. But he didn't. He just adjusted his glasses and continued, calmly. "An internal audit was initiated after inconsistencies were found between the published authorship and the original system development logs." That word logs made Lila flinch. Not dramatically, just enough for me to notice. Her confidence wasn't gone yet, but it was no longer stable. It was cracking at the edges, trying to hold shape under pressure. It was never built to survive. "I didn't do anything wrong," she said quickly, turning toward me instead of the administrator now. "Daniel, you know I was involved. Don't do this here." Her voice had dropped into something more personal now. Less public performance, more private panic. I took a slow step closer to the wall. Not toward her. Away from her version of the story. "I never said you weren't involved," I said quietly. That made her pause, because it wasn't denial. It was precision. Behind me, my mom finally spoke again, but her voice didn't carry authority anymore. It carried something worse. Confusion mixed with fear. Then why she started, then stopped. Swallowed, tried again. "Why would they put your name above hers?" I turned slightly, looked at her, and answered simply because I wrote the core architecture. A beat. Silence stretched so long it felt like the building itself had stopped breathing. Then Lila snapped. "That's not true," she said louder now, stepping forward. "I presented it. I led the rollout. I spoke at the board meeting. Everyone saw me." The administrator lifted a hand gently, cutting her off without raising his voice. "Yes," he said, "you presented the system." A pause. But presenting and authoring are not the same thing. That hit harder than anything else because it didn't accuse her. It separated her. My mom's voice dropped into something almost inaudible now. "Lila," she whispered, like she was trying to anchor herself to the version of her daughter she understood. But Lila wasn't looking at her. She was staring at the wall again, at my name, at the space where her certainty used to be. And then, for the first time all night, her voice came out completely unsteady. "What did you do?" I didn't answer right away because the truth wasn't something you throw into a room like this in a single sentence. It lands differently, heavier around us. The hospital corridor felt smaller now. The staff who had been moving earlier had slowed down completely, pretending to be busy but clearly listening. Even the reunion group behind us had drifted closer without realizing it, like gravity had shifted toward this one wall. My mom looked between me and Lila like she was watching a language she didn't speak anymore. "Answer her," she said quietly, almost pleading now. "Daniel, just answer her." Lila didn't take her eyes off me. Not once. Her confidence wasn't gone, but it was no longer standing straight. It was leaning, searching for something to hold on to. I exhaled slowly. "I didn't do what you think I did," I said. A pause. Then I turned slightly toward the glass panel beneath the wall, the one showing system metadata, scrolling quietly in clean white text. "This wasn't a single moment," I continued. "It wasn't a speech. It wasn't a meeting." I looked at Lila now. It was months of design, late nights, system failures no one wanted to fix because they didn't understand the structure behind them. Her jaw tightened. "You're rewriting history," she said quickly. "I was there. You were there," I interrupted, calm but firm, when it was already working. That stopped her because that distinction mattered. My mom shook her head slowly, as if trying to push the words away. "But she told us she built it," she said faintly. "She said the hospital trusted her with everything." I glanced at her, and for the first time, there was no anger in my voice, just exhaustion. "They trusted her with the visibility," I said. "A beat. And they trusted me with the system that actually keeps patients alive when everything else fails." The silence that followed wasn't confusion anymore. It was comprehension starting to form. Uncomfortable, irreversible. Lila took another step forward, her voice lower, now less defensive, more fractured. "So what are you saying?" she asked. "That I stole it?" I didn't respond immediately because that word wasn't accurate enough, and she knew it. Behind us, the administrator finally spoke again, carefully choosing his words. "The investigation is not about intent," he said. "It's about attribution." Then he turned slightly toward the wall. "And what the system records show is clear." My mom made a small sound, almost a gasp, but didn't fully speak. Because at that exact moment, the lights on the authorship panel shifted, and a new line appeared beneath my name: "Verified primary architect, final validation complete." Lila saw it too. And this time, she didn't argue. She just whispered, almost to herself, "This can't be happening." And for the first time since we walked into that reunion, no one corrected her.